Everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you're having a wonderful, happy Wednesday. My name is Scarlett Odell, and I'm an education specialist at Foundations Inc. And welcome to our Beyond the Conference webinar series. Today we have Stephanie Florence from Lean In Girls, and we will be getting started shortly. But before we do, I wanted to just go over a few like little tidbits of information, little background on Foundations Inc. for all of you. So, Foundations Inc. is a national education nonprofit, and we are located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And I'm posting and sharing with you our website link in the chat. So, we're located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, and our mission is to improve the quality of education by building the skills of educators. We work across the school day with after school programs, schools, districts, and states to create a brighter future for every child every day. And if you're interested in learning more about foundations, you can follow us on all of our social medias that I am going to drop for you in the chat right now. So you can drop a follow along to see everything that we have coming up. If you're interested in learning more. And you may already know us from our signature professional learning experience, the Beyond School Hours Conference that's held each February. And in 2027, we will be in New Orleans for our 30th anniversary that we hope you will all be able to attend and join us there. Now I'm going to introduce today's guest. Stephanie Florence is a relationship-driven communication and partnerships leader with experience spanning nonprofit, corporate, and global brand storytelling. She's deeply committed to advancing gender equity and empowering girls with the skills, confidence, and community they need to lead. As interim senior manager of girls partnerships at Lean In Girls, Stephanie works closely with schools and nonprofit partners to support the implementation and impact of Lean In Girls programming. Stephanie's experience is in all girls educational environment, played a formative role in shaping her confidence, leadership voice, and belief in the power of supportive communities for girls. That foundation continues to inform her work today, grounding her commitment to ensuring girls everywhere have access to spaces that encourage self advocacy, belonging, and leadership on their own terms. Just so you know, the webinar will be archived on our website and YouTube, so you'll be able to access it later. And now I'm going to pass it over to Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Scarlett, and hi, everyone. I'm really glad to be in today's session to share more with you about Lean In Girls so you can get an idea about this program and hopefully bring it into your communities. As you heard from Scarlett, my name is Stephanie Florence, and I'm part of the partnerships team at Lean In Girls. And this program really matters to me because of that experience I had during my school years. I was at an all girls high school, which was an incredibly formative time for me in helping me to build my confidence and voice. But you don't have to be in an all girls environment to be able to create that sort of outcome. This program really allows me to help more girls access the practical leadership skills and support that they need at such a critical time. So, today, what we will be talking through is all about leadership skills and why Lean In Girls can help. I'll walk you through one of the activities within our curriculum and also some case studies about partners who are having success with the program currently. We will also take time to make sure you know how you can bring Lean In Girls to your organization. Please feel free to drop questions into the chat as we go, and we'll make sure every question gets answered before we wrap up today. So, I would love to start by hearing from you. What are the biggest challenges facing the girls you serve? Please feel free to drop those responses into the chat and we can start getting a sense from one another about the areas that you're most focused on with your girls. Conflict resolution, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, Gail. They feel as though they are not seen or heard as much as their male counterparts, absolutely. Feeling comfortable speaking in a group setting, building and instilling confidence. Girls are needing more role models. Self-esteem is being impacted, peer pressure and mental health, absolutely. Advocating for themselves, self-confidence again. Yes, Ivana is right there with you, Gail. Thank you so much for starting to share in the chat here, and feel free to keep chiming in throughout today's session. These are absolutely topics that we will be covering. Um, Equity is another, girls' programs being cut. Understood. The respect they have for adults. These are all really important topics. And as we go through the curriculum, I will make sure I'm calling out which sorts of themes that we have available so that you can identify which parts of the curriculum, hopefully all of it, can really support the girls that you serve. So, to give you some more background, Lean In Girls is a free leadership curriculum that helps girls see themselves as leaders in a world that often tells them they're not. We know that girls who see themselves as leaders are happier, healthier, and more engaged in their communities and in school, but too often the world is telling them that they're not ready, they're not enough, or they're not the right kind of leader. And when girls start doubting their abilities, that really has long-term impacts. So we want to address this as early as possible when we can with girls. And we know these early teen years are such a critical time for girls. In this time frame is when girls are exploring who they are and who they want to become, but there's so much pressure from society to please and perform and fit in. And as a result, girls are shrinking and holding back and doubting their abilities. And I recognize that I am speaking to a room full of experts, so you all, I know, are witnessing this firsthand. But I do want to spend a little time with this data to truly ground us in why Lean In Girls was created. We see the confidence gap appearing during this early teen timeframe. Girls' confidence is dropping by up to 30%, while boys' confidence is holding steady. Perfectionism and the fear of failure is on the rise. And also, girls are struggling to find their voice. In fact, 66% believe that speaking their mind will make them unlikable, and that's up significantly just in the last 10 years. And we also see the impact of bullying and mean girl behavior really peak around now. And all of this matters because if girls start to doubt their abilities, they're holding back from long-term growth. They might not raise their hand for a leadership opportunity, or they might not take on advanced coursework. The good news is this doesn't have to be the end of the story because we know that leadership skills really change the trajectory for girls. They're linked to stronger classroom engagement and academic outcomes. Their well being and resilience are strengthened. We're building confidence and encouraging positive risk taking while fostering a really inclusive, collaborative environment at school and really raising the aspirations for girls. So, Lean In Girls is created really to equip girls with those skills when they need it most. We start by building confidence and self-esteem in our curriculum, empowering girls to discover their strengths and really see themselves as leaders today, not far off into the future. Next, we're cultivating a growth mindset, helping girls to reframe failure as a totally normal part of growth. That we're encouraging them to go after big goals, and if they don't reach them, that's okay. Letting them know that just means they're getting outside their comfort zone and really pushing for more. From there, we focus on empowering girls to reject limiting messages, and most importantly, helping them to have the tools and the vocabulary to identify those messages and then push back accordingly. And all the while, we are fostering healthy peer relationships. really helping girls to advocate for themselves and others and creating that culture where everyone belongs. Not only are they naming things like values and strengths in themselves, but they're also doing so in their peers. And we are seeing that this breaks down so many barriers because all of a sudden girls are saying, wait, you think I'm a great artist, or you think I'm the best basketball player? And suddenly, these girls who never had occasions to connect with one another are finding a lot of opportunities to build that community of trust. So, since we started Lean In Girls in 2023, we have reached more than 350 organizations and more than 25,000 girls. And this program is always growing. You can see some of our partner organizations here within the slide, and we are always looking to build and welcome new organizations into our community. We regularly talk to the facilitators running Lean In Girls, and we are hearing that 95% saw a positive change in their girls. They're telling us that the participants who complete the program are more confident in their ability to lead, they express a stronger connection to their peers, they're more resilient to failure, and they have a stronger bias towards taking positive risk. This quote is from one of the eighth graders in our program who said, "Leading girls utterly transformed me. I went from whispering in corners to thundering on classroom stages." So now that I've told you why we created the program, let me walk you through how the program comes to life. It is designed originally for ages 11 to 15, but I will tell you we have programs running as early as age 9 and all the way to 18. And the reason it reaches that far range of ages is because the sessions are truly adaptable. You can pick and choose the content that would resonate most with your girls. And every session has hands-on activities and discussion prompts that really centers girls' voice and their experience. It's easy to implement, whether it's something to do during the school day or after school. In fact, we have several programs running right now that are just wrapping up their summer camps. And I always say that if it's engaging enough to keep interested during the summer, that is speaking volumes, that it truly is an interactive curriculum that will work well during the school year. We offer the virtual facilitator training and we have hands-on support. Everything is research-backed and culturally responsive. And best of all, this is completely free to use every part of our curriculum and training resource. This is an overview of the curriculum that we are currently offering, 12 sessions total, and we'll follow up with the materials after today's session so you can have more time to review and digest, but did want to walk you through how this curriculum takes shape. We start with a kickoff session that really focuses on redefining leadership and expanding the definition of leadership, helping girls to see that it's not simply being class president or the lead in the school musical. That's not the only ways to be a leader. We help them see that taking steps like inviting the new girl to sit with you at lunch, that's being a leader. From there, we go into early sessions that focus on naming values and strengths and really focus not only on naming those strengths in oneself, but also in her peers. So, starting to build that community and having those conversations among their cohort. From there, we build into challenging stereotypes and really inspiring girls to go for it. One of my favorite sessions is the reframe failure session, and that just a nice job of just helping girls to see that it's okay to fail, that you don't have to take on every single goal and meet it perfectly. I've also seen a really great use case of this part of the curriculum. We had one of our Girls Inc. chapters actually organize a visit to the Timberland headquarters, the shoe company, and have a chance to meet with executives there. And the way they use the curriculum is they ask the executives to talk about their failures. And so the girls now are not only seeing themselves as, wait, one day I could have a job like this, but also I could fail and still have a job like this. So it's just an incredible example of the group getting creative with how to use our curriculum, and that was for a high school group. And so I bring that up to say that that wasn't something that we originally offered, but they were able to get creative and use that curriculum to best serve their girls. And that's something that, depending on the girls that you're working with, they could potentially organize that in their communities, or it could be something where high school girls or college girls come and talk about their failures, or you host a visit with a hometown company, or do it on Zoom. There's lots of ways to give girls exposure, and I love centering it around that theme of really reframing failure. We have part three that really talks about overcoming bias and barriers and really helping girls to build vocabulary. And we hear from educators who tell us that the words that the girls are learning in these classrooms aren't just staying there, that they are really permeating into the hallways and across the entire campus. And all of a sudden, educators are turning their heads because they realize that the girls are really taking to heart what they're learning and embracing and sharing it with their peers. And we wrap up with a celebration at the end where girls get a certificate. So it really feels like a nice opportunity from start to finish that girls feel accountable to the sessions that they're joining and have lots of opportunity to learn and engage with one another all across the full curriculum. The sessions were designed to be 1 hour in length, but we know that it's often very challenging to come by. So we offer suggestions in our facilitator handbook about how you can really shorten the sessions to maybe only 20 or 30 minutes. So you can really maximize the time that you have. You can also take one session and simply cut it in half and take more time to go through the content. We also have some programs that really elongate the sessions by building in more discussion prompts, more time for engagement to really participate in the activities or talk through the answers of the sessions. It is that flexible that you can work with it based on what would best support your girls. And this is a quick look about the curriculum. We know how busy educators are and really work to take the legwork out for you. So we have developed the curriculum that everything is step by step that you can follow. We have clear sessions and takeaways outlined. We suggest how much time to spend for a full 1 hour session, but then, of course, offer suggestions about how to break it down for shorter amounts of time. We have sample scripts and engaging discussion prompts, so even if you or someone on your team is brand new, you can feel really set up for success. And of course, our printable games and hands-on activity are a great way for girls to feel really engaged in the sessions. And this screenshot here is our Find the Win card deck. We designed a card game that is similar to Apples to Apples or Cards Against Humanity that have created scenarios that would really be applicable to a teen audience. And so it gives girls an opportunity to be going through scenarios and to practice how they might react in a scenario. It's also giving girls a chance to practice their public speaking because we go around the group and ask you to share why you picked the one that you picked. So lots of great ways for girls to get involved. And I also know that we have facilitators who are bringing this into their professional development and they bring the game in. And so the adults get a chance to experience it and see what it's like for the girls. So, we really look at the leadership journey in a few parts with Lean In Girls. We start by redefining leadership, as I shared, just helping girls to expand their definition of leadership. From there, we explore their identity and help them identify their strengths and values, and really go on to help them learn to navigate any sort of setbacks that they're seeing and bias and barriers. From there, we help them put those new skills into practice in that safe space that we've created for them. All the while helping them set a strong foundation so they can really set bold goals and take on new risks. So, I would love to hear from you in the chat again. How do you think girls are viewing leadership? And also, if you're comfortable, feel free to come off mute and we can have a short discussion here. Would love to hear whether it's in the chat or off mute now, how are they perceiving leadership? What does it mean to them? Are they, aspiring to be leaders? And if not, why not? And what do you think they believe leadership looks like?
Hi, my name is Keisha. I'm joining from Dayton. And what leadership looks like with the young ladies that I am connected to, definitely doesn't look like what it did when I was their age. But it's based on a lot more superficial measures, like how many likes they have, or how many
Mm,
boyfriends they have, or um, even maybe some of the more traditionally materialistic things.
hmm
So kind of I love hearing you talk about how you're redefining what leadership looks like, because leadership could be the child that or the girl that's not very popular, but she advocates for others in her community.
hmm
So I think what we pay attention to as leaderships and what we teach the girls and youth in general of what leadership can look like. I love anything that kind of shifts the paradigm on that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing, Keisha. And I completely agree. There is so much that has changed and we know will continue to change, but helping to give girls that environment when they feel comfortable to share and connect with one another is so important. Ebony, yes, would love to hear from you.
Yes, hi. I am chiming in from Philadelphia. I work with youth from grades 5th through 12th grade. And I think for us, what we noticed since the pandemic is that our youth, the girls, they don't seem to have a sense of leadership. Like,
Mm,
I still find that outside of their close network, they still aren't able to socialize, or they just don't socialize with others. Um, the person who was talking before, I echo in that it doesn't look like leadership when I was growing up. Like,
hmm
if anybody asked a question, we raised our hand, we wanted to answer, we wanted to be in the forefront of the classroom, like we wanted people to know, like, like, yeah, I'm the one, I'm the leader. But they seem to fall back, right? They don't like
hmm
speaking in public. To me, don't call on them because they don't seem to have the self confidence, right, to
hmm
answer a question or speak out loud or get in front of the classroom, or even like you talked about earlier, which I'm interested in helping my girls understand it. It's okay to befriend someone outside of your peer group, right?
Right.
Someone sitting at the table by themselves. It's okay to go over and have a conversation. I try to mix up the groups so everybody can get to know each other. But then they just shut down. So
hmm
that's what I'm interested in working on. So I'm
hmm
excited about this curriculum because I have yet to find a curriculum that works specifically with young women. And that's what I'm interested in.
Great. Thank you for all of that, Ebony. I'm glad you're seeing value in what we've created, and I definitely think this can support you in helping those girls who are just looking for more support in terms of being more engaging and speaking up. So I appreciate you sharing. And I'm just gonna pivot here to the chat. I'm seeing some more updates about perceiving leadership as helping to guide and support others. Yes, I love that. It can be culture based. They are focused on more materialistic things. Yes, going back to what Keisha had shared. Right now, seeing a lot of girls aspiring a sort of queen bee status. Yes, and finding ways to make sure that girls are seeing the community that they can create versus one being in charge or popular being the most important cachet. How can we make it more of a community? I am seeing, let's see, I'm just going to bring in what Scarlett had talked about, a theory that a lot of times girls and women tend to use ums and likes, yes, when speaking. And if we pause, that space tends to be taken up. I agree. That is so interesting because it could be seen as less competent, and that is not the case because we know women have just as much to share, regardless of any of those fillers that might be used. Um, Thank you. I've seen more from Ruth. Um, That's great that people have their own nonprofits that they are wanting to support with. a national scholar, forensics journalism. This is incredible. What a crew here that you are supporting. But we want to make sure. However, the women who have strong female family members seem to have an advantage. The role models is so important that you speak of, Ruth, and helping these girls move forward and think bigger. This is great. Thank you so much for sharing. Feel free to keep providing your insights into the chat. It is always so helpful to hear from you all since you are in the work day in, day out with these girls. So, I want to spend a little more time talking about some research and really what we're seeing. And it ladders up with some of the comments that we're seeing in the chat as well, that there really are a clash of those traditional definitions of leadership, of how girls see themselves and how they're expected to behave. 4 in 10 girls are reporting being discouraged or put down when they try to lead. And they're 2 times as likely than boys to avoid leadership for fear of being labeled bossy. We also know that these girls are 25% less likely than boys to volunteer for tasks that require public speaking or visible leadership. And it's 1 in 3 Latinas and 1 in 4 Black girls are fearing being embarrassed or ridiculed if they take on a leadership role. So there's all of these mounting evidence for why girls shouldn't or can't be leaders. And so we want to do the work in partnership with you to make sure that girls are not paying attention to this, are not worrying, and are able to really just show up as their best selves. And so, to speak a little bit more about that session I mentioned, our kickoff of redefining leadership, the goal here is really to expand their understanding of leadership and move it away from some traditional sense. In fact, we show images of what a traditional leader looks like, and oftentimes it's a white male, but we widen girls' mindset for what a leader can be and show them all kinds of images of people who take on leadership in all sorts of forms. And we do that so that they can start to normalize that. The takeaways from this session are really helping them to see if you've ever felt like you didn't fit the leader mold, that it's not just you. That leadership isn't limited to certain people, that everyone can be a leader in different ways. And you don't have to wait until you're older, that you have a title to lead. You can lead right now in the actions you take, your values, and your everyday choices. So, the definition that we talk about when we talk about leadership is that everyone can be a leader. And there are many ways to lead, and it shows up not only in the big moments, but in the everyday actions, whether that's speaking up on behalf of yourself or a peer, working towards a shared goal, trying something new, or putting those values into action. And even when it takes courage, or I would say, especially when it takes courage. We've been, this is part of our exercise as well. So welcome your inputs into the chat or welcome you to come off mute to talk a little bit more. Leadership is blank. Welcome your inputs as yourself or chatting on behalf of your girls. Always interested into seeing how you might answer this question. Leadership is lifelong learning. Yes, agency, empathy. Leadership is essential if you want to be heard. Yes. Leadership is being brave. It's power. It's key. Yes to all of the above. And it's trailblazing, inspiring. Leadership is being able to help others shine. It's an opportunity to show that you are capable and that your skills to advocate, that you have the skills to advocate and support others. Advocating, yes, more of that. Thank you so much, everyone, for the engaging inputs. It's so helpful to hear from you. And I know that it speaks volumes to how we're able to then bring this into our communities for our girls. Exactly, took the words right out of my mouth. Leadership is essential to help girls get ahead. It's listening and being open to others' input and ideas without belittling your own ideas. Knowing when to step up and when to step back. Yes, leadership is inclusion. Thank you, everyone. These are great, great inputs. Now, I want to take a few moments to walk you through some of our partners who are currently running Lean In Girls and the impact that they've been seeing. So, to start with, one of our Girl Scouts groups in Orange County, the challenge that they were facing was needing some fresh and engaging programming, especially for their older girls that wasn't interested in the traditional camp experience. So, they were looking to foster inclusivity and connection among girls of diverse backgrounds and identities. So they adapted Lean On Girls into an overnight leadership camp, and it was focused on girls in grades 6 through 12, focusing on identity, overcoming adversity, and communication. The older teams were actually invited to co-lead activities with the younger girls. And the impact here was a stronger sense of belonging and stronger relationships. Girls bonded quickly, often within hours. Their engagement was from girls who typically would have opted out. And there was gains in confidence, voice, and communication. And also, they saw staff growth, that there was better cohesion, a shared language, improved ability to navigate behavioral challenges. And this is something we hear a lot. We knew when we created Lean On Girls that the training was there to support girls. It was an unexpected bonus to hear that our facilitators see it as training as well, because they're putting themselves in these sessions and they're thinking, okay, how would I have operated as a teenager? Or how am I going to help guide my girls through this curriculum now? And so we hear from Aaron, a notoriously hard to please camper, was overheard encouraging others to join, saying it's cool. It's not like other trainings where they sit there and talk to you. So we love that we're getting that vote of confidence from teenagers who are often hard to win over. Next is one of our Girls Inc. partners who talked about the challenge being busy scheduling, limiting the amount of time to develop their own programming. We understand organizations often have the best interest to want to start something brand new, and maybe you'll get there, but not right now. Let us help you on your journey to building that leadership in the meantime. Additionally, they had challenges about engagement awareness with summer programming that isn't always that sit down and learn friendly. So they piloted first, integrating sessions into existing Girls Inc. programming, and they leveraged a flexible curriculum that could be adapted for various schedules, settings, and group dynamics. And then they expanded Lean In Girls to after school, and they are working to bring it into the school day as well. And so the impact has been stronger engagement. Girls who were shy initially actually became active, enthusiastic partners. There was deeper connections that fostered friendships across grades, ages, and social groups. And also, again, here, that personal growth for leaders. Facilitators reported the experience being meaningful for them as leaders, not just for the girls. And Karen, from the director of programming, talked about how we keep running Lean In Girls because we believe in it. It aligns deeply with our values and is truly meaningful for the girls we serve. And one more example I wanted to share directly from the classroom in a middle school in California, where the challenge was that many girls did not see themselves as leaders and they lacked that confidence to speak up or self advocate. Very similar to, I know, the discussion that we've been having here today so far. There were peer conflicts and external pressures that were impacting their academic performance and classroom engagement. So they implemented Lean In Girls as a tier two intervention, really focusing on those small group settings for eighth grade girls who needed extra support. School counselors held the weekly small group sessions during lunch to build leadership skills, confidence, and peer relationships. And the impact has been huge. 80% of participants improved their GPA. Girls were speaking up, engaging more actively in class, and building healthier relationships with peers and teachers. And our participants were setting more ambitious goals for their future and really developing stronger post-middle school pathways. And the principal told us that with Lean In Girls, we saw grades improve, attendance improves, and the need for behavior interventions decrease. I hope that helped bring to life the success of the programs in multiple different settings, whether it's during the school day, after school, in camp, lots of ways for the program to come to life. So that's exactly what I'd like to wrap up today to really talk about how you can bring the program into your communities. As I've shared, it's really flexible and adaptable so it can meet your girls where they are. We've seen the program work well with social emotional learning and counseling support in tandem with advisory and enrichment programming. Also, Lunch Bunch, a great way for girls to have those small group conversations together and then also after school. And this is simply a sampling of how Lean In Girls can be run. We are always open to new ways of the program coming together. I've started talking recently with a lot of coaches who have the opportunity to build it into their practice. So having that as part of practice on the court, on the field, finding ways that sports and leadership really go hand in hand. So this is simply a sampling, but we are always open to hearing your ideas and brainstorming with you about how the curriculum could work well in your setting. So by now, you have heard why we created Lean In Girls. You have heard that it's working, and I hope that you're feeling like, okay, I'm ready to get started because now is a perfect time as we are ready to get started into this new semester. So I'd love to invite you to join us and register your Lean In Girls program. So the next step would be scanning the QR code here on the screen. This is going to take you to a link where you will be able to register your program. I'm also going to drop it into the chat if you prefer to do it through a computer. The Google form is going to ask you some questions, and it's basically giving us some information so we know when you'd like to run the program and for how many girls and how you'd like to run it. This is all super flexible. If you register now, but you need to go sort it out with some colleagues at your school, or you need to talk with some peers, or you don't know how many girls are in your girl group, that's all flexible. You can always change that later with us. By registering your program through the Google form, that's going to unlock access to all of our curriculum resources. So all the materials that we offer, our facilitator handbook that offers the tips about how to shorten if you'd like. We also have a facilitator training that you're welcome to join us to get ready to get started. So everything is offered completely free. Once you register your program, we will unlock access to get you all of the materials to get you ready. And hopefully, you will feel like you have all the information you need to get started and bring this program into your communities. Thank you again for listening from me about what Lean In Girls is and how it's making an impact. I hope that you will be seeing it make an impact in the year ahead. We still have plenty of time, so I would love to make sure your questions get answered. Feel free to drop them into the chat, or you can come off mute and we can take questions that way as well. And I know a question that often comes up, so I want to make sure I mention it is how many girls is a good number for the groups? We often see 8 to 20 be a really strong number. It can, of course, be smaller and it can go bigger. The one caveat is if you go much bigger, you'll want to see if you can have a co-lead or someone else there in the room with you so that there's opportunities to break out into smaller group sessions. It's important that the girls have that space to be able to share and reflect, and really the continuity of a leader or more than one leader who is there week over week, because we know the girls will look forward to saying, oh, it's Wednesday. That means it's Lean In Girls Day. So having that space for them to join week over week is great. I love hear, oh, I'm sorry to hear about the funding, but yes, a free program. I'm glad that it can be a resource for you. Next question here. Does the curriculum have ready-made activities to implement, or do we create our own activities? Great question. We do have ready-made activities built in. So, for example, that card game I mentioned, we have designed all the responses on each of the cards. So what you would just need to do is cut out the cards so that the girls can play that in the room. We've also included some blank cards. So if girls want to get creative, they can chime in terms of those responses. But we do offer all of the activities built in for you to use. And I love that we already have a program registered. Thank you so much, Kylie. I'm glad you're seeing a fit to bring Lean In Girls to your community. Okay, Anita is asking about more information about the facilitator training. What's the format and the length? Absolutely. So we have a train the trainer model, and I will drop a link into the chat. It is designed as a 1 hour session that we host a few times a month, and it basically walks through the curriculum to give you the background about what Lean In Girls is and how you can set up the space for your girls. If there was ever an issue that you were like, wait, I want to get started tomorrow, we have recorded sessions that you can send us an email, and we're happy to make sure you get access to that. We also, I will say, don't require um, any sort of like formal experience for being a Lean In Girls facilitator. We essentially want it to be leaders who are trusted in the community that can create that space for girls that they feel comfortable to share. So whether it's an educator, staff member, anyone who would be great to lead these sessions is always what we suggest. And if you have existing programming that you're already running a girls group or you have mentoring groups, keep going with what you're doing. You don't need to change a thing. You don't even need to call it a Lean In Girls group. You simply have access to this curriculum to use it as an additional resource. Our goal is to reach as many girls as possible, and so we want to do that any way we can. So I'm seeing a question about any more information or about when we'll be in New Orleans. Fun fact, I was just in New Orleans in July. We were at the American School Counselors Association annual conference where we got to meet with school counselors from across the country. So we do meet in person with at conferences, and we'll be chatting with Scarlett. Maybe there's opportunity for us to show up in February, but we do a lot of these webinar sessions. So we coordinated this with Scarlett and team to make sure we could bring it to you to the wider Foundations Inc. community, but we also regularly host sessions that are program info sessions. And so if you'd like to get more information from us on that, we can always invite you to more sessions if you'd like to extend the invite to your team to join. Samantha is asking, will there be a link to the curriculum emailed after the Google form is completed? Yes, there will be. So the next step once you are completing that form is you get added into our system, and then I click a couple buttons and I make sure you are there, and I make sure that you get access to receive that curriculum. So yes, once you've completed that form, you will get access to the curriculum over email. We'll send you one link that has direct links to the curriculum, to the facilitator handbook, also tools like how to get some awareness for it at your school to make sure others are getting excited as well. I'm also seeing Sharon and Brittany registered their programs. Thanks so much for providing us with your registration. And Casey, so glad that you're joining us in the community. Checking to see if I've missed any questions. Oh, that's great. I'd love more and more intros for Lean In Girls. I will just drop in a couple more links here in case you need it. Feel free to register here to get started. Also, if this is beneficial, and we'll follow up these materials after, but this is an overview of our curriculum and learning objectives, so you have that ready. Any other questions? Or I'd love if you're willing to maybe share an emoji or drop into the chat. Does this seem like a program that would be helpful for the girls that you serve?
Keisha in Dayton, Ohio. I think it could be. Is there, and I don't know how much I'm going to get from the curriculum overview, but I really want to take a look at it to see how much is, I guess, ready to go, how much I might need to tweak for different
Mhm.
populations or demographics that we're working with.
Mhm.
If I sign up and then I get the information, like I get the links to everything, and then it maybe takes us a while to actually implement the thing, is that an issue?
Not at all. I would suggest, Keisha, when you're at a computer and able to register, maybe just signing up for like a month, like a few months from now, and maybe just putting it in for like 5 girls or whatever. Like, just you can start small. And then I would say, take a look at the materials and then come back to us and say, you know what? I'm actually ready to get started in October, sooner than I thought. And it's going to be this number of girls. So that we have that sort of flexibility. But basically, what happens when you give us that starting date, we just check in to say, hey, do you have everything you need? So, just to make sure we're not checking in too soon, if you put the date down the line, that's a great way to plan for just giving yourself more time to review.
Okay, and I do have another question. I know so many organizations and programs are focused on data
Mhm.
to the point where it even becomes more of a hyper focus than the intentionality of the thing that we're implementing.
Mm.
So to one, I'm not that I'm upset with it at all. I love this. I love free stuff, and I think all good things are free, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not mad at free at all, but I'm wondering if you gather data. Maybe I missed that because I think I missed like the first 10 minutes. Do
Mhm.
you gather data from the different programs that implement Lean In Girls, or how do you talk to people about the effectiveness that the program is having if you're
Sure.
not gathering input from the different organizations that are doing it?
Sure, great question. We do pre and post surveys that you are welcome to opt into. And so we see schools really liking these because they can track like year over year impact. And everything is anonymous when, because we do facilitator and then we also do participants, so the girls, but nothing is ever like tied to a name. So that's why you saw my quote earlier was like eighth grader. So we do surveys, and that is how we are tracking the results when they opt into surveys.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Thanks so much for the questions. And then I was seeing in Rhonda, there will be a recording, so more info to come from us on email, so you can take a look at that. And then hope it's a fit to once you engage with your enrichment teachers. I love seeing all these emojis. That is great. Thank you so much, everyone. I am thinking maybe we have hit our mark on getting all the questions answered, which is great. Also seeing some more programs getting registered. So thank you so much to Steve and Dayanara. I hope I said that right. We are grateful to have you join the community. I will just drop into, okay, great. I will just drop into the chat once more the email address that you can reach out to connect with our team, support@leaningirls.org. Really happy to be a support for you all. Even if you're just thinking about how can we get this started, feel free to reach out. We are happy to be a resource and so grateful to the Foundations Inc. team for inviting us to be a part of this session. Really grateful to be in conversation with you all. Thanks again.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'd like to take a moment to really thank you for being here and thank all of you for coming and taking time out of your schedules to be here with us today. Please take a moment to complete the brief feedback form, brief survey for our session, which I'm going to be posting in the chat right now for all of you. So please take a moment to complete that. We would love to hear your thoughts. A certificate of attendance will be sent within a week to all those who attended live and completed the survey. We hope you will join us for our next session, Making Homework Work, on September 9th, and registration information will be in your email soon. So be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Thank you, everyone. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.